If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, we've got a patron page for that. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. Welcome to Pony Stadium for high school soccer. It's a doubleheader here in Oak Park Heights. The boys go first. The Stillwater area Ponies, the number 2 team in Class 2A, take on the Minneapolis Southwest Lakers. Stillwater at 9-1-1, Southwest at 5-3-2. I'm Mike Beaton, all by myself, talking to myself. And for Stillwater, hoping to continue their rebound after losing to Washburn last week 1-0. This is the second Minneapolis opponent Washburn, or I should say Stillwater, will face in the regular season. And a bit of rescheduling for the Ponies. They were scheduled to play Woodbury on Thursday, but severe weather postponed that game to Monday. In fact, a lot of outdoor contests were canceled or postponed due to the heavy rains and severe weather that moved through the area. As some of you know, tornadoes hit southern Minnesota, including Northfield, Waseca, Faribault. But up here, just some rain and thunder, and no chance of rain today. High and dry. Minneapolis Southwest lost 2-1 to Holy Family Catholic. They had a big win over St. Paul Johnson, 11-1. Lost to Washburn 5-1. Washburn, the number 1 team in Class 2A, achieving that ranking by beating the Stillwater Ponies in a tropical atmosphere last week. Stillwater wearing the black kits, Southwest wearing the white, and we're underway here at Pony Stadium. Stillwater looking to go in the attack early. And Chester Hearn will throw it in. Stillwater, Spencer Scott is their do-everything athlete. 10 goals, 10 assists. He's the center point of defensive coverage for most teams, and that can open things up for folks like Gora Gora, who passes back for a reset. Gora Gora wearing number 12. Scored a couple of goals in Stillwater's win over Hudson. And Spencer Scott, Logan Huber as well, both put up goals in Stillwater's last game, a 5-1 win over Forest Lake. 5 different Stillwater players scored, and we have our first foul assessed to Isaiah Clausen, number 21. Minneapolis Southwest, Isaiah Clausen is one of their players to watch. 6 goals, 4 assists. And one of their starters, number 20, Ramsey Uro Okondo, moved from Togo a few years ago. His parents moved to the United States when he was 3 years old, but he was too young to make the trek with them, so he had to wait a few more years to reunite with his parents. He came back a few years ago, and this Southwest team is well-traveled. Several players with international experience. We'll talk more about that as the match moves along. Stillwater looking to go in the attack there. Chester Hearn's pass was deflected by Anders Cameron. And that will roll harmlessly to the keeper. The keeper is Noah Stovitz, who spent a year in Costa Rica last year. Not quite the crowd we had last Saturday. Of course, whenever you have number 1 and number 2, regardless of the class, that will add a little more spice to a matchup. This is just a regular season non-conference game. But Minneapolis Southwest does have some soccer history. They reached the state tournament a few years ago, back in the Metrodome days. And the reason I remember that is because I called those games, and the Southwest Pep Band played the theme from the sitcom known as Coach. coach set here in the Twin Cities with the fictitious Minnesota Screaming Eagles, the stand-in for the Golden Gophers. Carson Arco can't keep that in play. And Anders Cameron will throw it in. Here's Nick Purdy. Looking for Arco. Arco stays on side. He's got to look. Now crosses, looking for Arco. Southwest player gets in there for the deflection. Nice ball, but a little too far out. Max Stouffer was looking for Gora, but encouraging sign if you're Jake Smothers. We didn't see too many attacks on the Stillwater side. Washburn won that game by grinding it out on the passing. Stillwater likes to score off of set pieces, whether they're corner kicks or off of free kicks. Gora did have a good look in that game with Washburn, but his shot hit the left crossbar. The best scoring chance the Ponies perhaps had in that game. It was a physical one. Some chippiness. There were a couple of yellow cards issued, one to Hunter Storman, another to Jamison Charles of Washburn. There was some beating and banging. And Washburn emerged as the victors. We mentioned for Southwest, Isaiah Clausen, 6 goals, 4 assists entering this game. Charlie Smith has 3 goals. A Southwest throw-in is fielded by the Ponies, and they will not be able to keep it in play. So a corner coming up for Andrew Ellis, who has 3 goals and 1 assist this year. Three scratches for the Lakers. Ianle Ashara, Edgar Jordan, and DeMarc Gray. Gray with 2 goals and 2 assists. And Ashara with a pair of goals as well. So Southwest without a couple of their goal scorers. Stillwater, Spencer Scott, again, their do-everything athlete, 10 goals, 10 assists. Gora 6 goals, 2 assists, and Logan Huber 6 goals, 4 assists. Goal kick for the Ponies. Spencer Scott, the central focus of what the Stillwater team does, also plays hockey. Southwest takes a mid-sized or mid-range ball there, but it falls harmlessly out of bounds. Race Johnson setting up the goal kick. Stillwater ball stayed in play, so Southwest got the takeaway. They tried to set up a counter after Stillwater shifted the field position. Field position, perhaps not as big an attribute in this sport compared to the other football, but the more time you spend on the attacking side of the field, the fewer chances you concede to your opponent. Foul on the Ponies and a free kick for the Lakers. Andrew Ellis will put it in play. has a chance to make something happen here. Rebound goes right into the scrum. Charlie Fisher was trying to send it to someone in that scrum to set up a scoring opportunity. Now Gorgora. Can't do much with it. And Logan Huber clears it away. Charlie Fisher will throw it in for the Lakers. Jamie Plaisance, the head coach of the Lakers, the assistant, Muhammad Ali. Now a throw-in for the Ponies. Keep an eye on that if Stillwater gets a throw-in on the attacking side, especially if they're in scoring range. Spencer Scott often does the honors. Spencer told me on Tuesday in the win over Forest Lake that he had some practice with those throw-ins, being the quarterback of the football team his 9th grade year, playing at one of the lower divisions. Opted to stick to soccer. But that guy is a cannon. And that can set up his teammates to be in prime position. Southwest with the first look! And it goes off the crossbar. Charlie Smith inches away from putting Southwest on the board. We mentioned he has 3 goals and an assist on the season. And when you're the underdog, getting an early score can be huge for momentum. Here's Ramsey Uro Okando, an All-State Award winner last year as a 9th grader. Free kick headed by a Stillwater defender. Looks like that was Logan Huber, who made a couple of nifty headers to keep the ball out of harm's way. Throw in for the Lakers. We mentioned the international flair of the Southwest team. Uro Okando from Togo, Noah Stovitz spent a year in Costa Rica. Andrew Ellis went to Spain and Portugal with his club soccer team. And if you're a soccer fan, holding that thought as the play develops, if you're a soccer fan or if you're a soccer player, that's not uncommon for high schoolers to visit a foreign country to play with their club teams. Spencer Scott hoping to develop something, and Stovitz will let that bounce out of the way. Recently did a feature on Matamidi girls soccer, and 2 of their athletes went to Sweden with their club team. It's not a regular occurrence due to the costs involved of traveling to a foreign country, especially outside the North American continent. But those who are lucky enough to take part come away with valuable cultural experience. And the Matamidi players I spoke to, and I imagine everyone who travels to play club soccer, as Logan Huber sends the free kick in, And that will be a one-hopper to Noah Stovitz. The opportunity to play soccer in a continent thousands of miles away is a culturally enriching experience. And no matter how you perform, it's a reminder that there's a world out there. And we play just a small part in it. Isaiah Clausen with some nifty footwork to evade defenders. Southwest still hanging on to it. They've done a good job playing the passing game. More footwork by Clausen, and that was deflected by Stillwater player. Isaiah Clausen showing some maneuverability, and his mobility nets a corner for the Lakers.
Corner kick by number 15.
We'll see if Andrew Ellis can do something with it. Not that time. Carson Arco able to keep it away. That was a dangerous pass by Spencer Scott, and it goes the other way to Southwest, getting the takeover there. I believe Clausen and Charlie Peterson also made a play. Still scoreless here at Pony Stadium. Southwest looking to play the upset. Another shot, this one's high. Bob Bielenberg, the PA announcer, jokingly saying the extra point is good, and if we were playing the other football, it would have been. So Simon Brown, the senior, well, I guess he won't have an opportunity to try out for the football team since he will graduate after this year. Kim Royston, the athletic director for Southwest. If you follow high school sports, you may recall the turbulence with the Minneapolis School District. The prior ADs for Southwest and Minneapolis North were let go, and whatever capacity that was, the details were scarce. Logan Huber with a free kick. And on top of that, Trent Tucker, who was the district athletic director, stepped down from his job. Again, few details made public. Most of the information that I came across were nothing more than rumors, hearsay, and theories, but it made for a lot of uncertainty in the Minneapolis Public School District. Nice throw in by Spencer Scott, and Stillwater sends that ball a little high. That was Logan Clendenin. So all throughout Minneapolis, a focal point will be moving forward. We may never know what transpired that led two ADs to lose their jobs and the district AD to step down. But that kind of turmoil created a domino effect of sorts as several Minneapolis coaches took jobs elsewhere. This school year and perhaps the next year or so could speak volumes to persistence, resiliency, and dedication. And that's not a knock on the coaches that left to take coaching jobs at other schools. Shot by Clausen goes just wide left, but Southwest, they've had 3 good looks. One hit the crossbar and a couple were just off the mark, but they're getting some balls at the net, or close to it. And what happened at Minneapolis is simply a microcosm of adversity that anyone can face, whether it's a change in leadership, change in staff, something you weren't expecting. That happens in sports, in life, in your career. A series of unforeseen circumstances.
Entering the match for the Lakers.
Southwest substitution. Simon Brome going out. Daniel Steinle coming in. As you know, unlimited substitutions at the prep level. And admittedly, controversy sells when it comes to media coverage. That's not to say we don't celebrate good stories or achievements that students acquire. Southwest on the attack. It's a foot race that Race Johnson wins to the ball. Isaiah Clausen was coming at full speed, and he was onside, so Race Johnson stopping a potential scoring chance there. But Southwest getting some openings through roughly the first 20 minutes of the first half. A couple of players collide and trip over each other at the far side of the field. Southwest player was looking for a foul, and Stillwater, I can't read the numbers, but they both seem exasperated. They both wanted a foul on the other. The Stillwater player was Hunter Storman. He got a yellow card in the game with Washburn. And the Southwest player in question was Andrew Ellis. Throwing coming for the Lakers, it's Charlie Smith who will do the honors. Header, and that ball bounces off a couple of players and off of Stillwater. Nick Purdy making a play to keep it out of point-blank range, but another corner coming for the Lakers, and they've had a few in this first half.
Number 15, Andrew Ellis with the corner.
Andrew Ellis, pretty busy over there at the far corner. A dribbler. And another high shot. But if you're Southwest and Jamie Plaisance, still good to see, even if you don't get it on target. You're sending more shots at Stillwater's net, and if nothing else, that keeps them from attacking. As crazy as it sounds, the best time to attack, or the best way to keep the opponent from attacking, is to keep getting shots. One of them just might find the net.
Pony substitution number 17, Matthew.
You could make a case that the Ponies perhaps caught a little off guard. This is a Southwest team that has a record above 500, 5-3-2, but no big wins on the resume. Southwest, oh, so close again. Andrew Ellis, much like Charlie Smith's shot earlier in this half, that one grazed the crossbar. Stillwater on their colloquial heels. Lakers coming at them with an aggressive attack. And they just keep on coming. And Stillwater has no choice but to send that past the sideline for a throw-in. So Jonathan Kramer at least denies Southwest a corner. But the Lakers will get another chance to set up. Charlie Smith with the throw-in. Doesn't quite have the strength of Spencer Scott. Then again, I don't know many athletes who have the throwing strength of Spencer Scott. Foul is called on the Lakers. The best result for Southwest, you could argue, were a pair of draws. A 2-2 draw with Minnetonka to start the season, and then a scoreless draw with Woodbury on August 30th. Both those teams in the top tier of contenders in Class 2A. I'm not suggesting Stillwater is underestimating the Southwest team. But a week ago, you were taking on, at the time, the number 2 team in Class A. Now you're playing a team who doesn't have the same level of recognition. But Southwest putting up a valiant effort here in the first half. And there's Cameron with the throw-in. Hearn was able to get in there with the header, and he can't catch up to it, so Southwest will get to throw it in again. .5 minutes remain. And here comes Anders Cameron again. Now Stillwater will take over. And this will be our first look at Spencer Scott and his monstrous throw-in strength. There it is, header! Nice play by Stovitz. But a pinpoint throw-in by Spencer Scott. I mean pinpoint. Gora has just one man upfield. It's Scott. Sam Voda getting in there for the interception. Lakers on the counter. Deep ball. Race Johnson catches it. Read that one all the way. Like we said, a smaller crowd compared to a week ago. The biggest difference, the absence of a student section. Well, maybe one day the sport will attract a student section the way volleyball and football do in the fall on a regular basis. It was quite the crowd last week, perhaps the biggest for a regular season game I've ever seen. It wasn't a sellout, but there was a line full of spectators just as the game was starting. There was that much hype. In fact, there were so many people, athletic director Ricky Michael had to come in to help process tickets as the game brought more than the expected capacity. The expected crowd, I should say. The capacity stays the same. But it created a playoff-like atmosphere. And that set up a big stage for Washburn's win. What a win that was. Otis Anderson scored the game's only goal in the 72nd minute and put everyone on notice against a team that has reached the state final the last 2 years. Won it in 2016, finished second last year to Wayzata. And speaking of Wayzata, they started the year in the top 10. They've fallen off the top 10 after a few losses, one of them to Roseville. And I happened to run into Jim Paulson last night. Both of us were covering the Blaine Cretin-Durham Hall football game for different outlets. He told me Washburn could be a team you see in the state tournament over in Section 6 this year. Charlie Smith with a little fake. He throws behind to Anders Cameron after looking upfield. And Southwest will try again. Cameron. Didn't have anyone there. But that stingy Southwest defense able to get another poke. Cameron again to Clausen. Now Simon Brown has it. Nice play by Chester Hearn. Hearn had a sensational header in the win over Forest Lake. If you saw the highlights, that may be the play of the year for the Ponies. Logan Huber had a perfectly placed free kick. Spencer Scott, his ball gets caught in the wind and curves out of range. Noah Stovitz had a read on it as it was, so he likely would have fielded it anyway, but that header, Logan Huber put a free kick right to Hearn's position, and Chester Hearn used the back of his head. It was a reverse header. One of the game's 5 goals. Chester Hearn, nothing called. Anders Cameron wanted something. Hearn, can he keep it in play? He does. No, he doesn't. Again, a situation where Stovitz had a read anyway. Just under 10 minutes left in the first half.
For the Lakers, number 19, Charlie Peterson.
Go, Black!
First half, so far, controlled by Southwest if you look at possession time. They've had a few more shots at the net. They've had a couple hit the crossbar. Lakers have been that close to going up 1-0, 2-0. It's a game of inches, no matter the sport, and Southwest has been inches away from perhaps getting up on the number 2 team in Class 2A. Last year's runner-up in the Class 2A state tournament. Stillwater ball, and it will be a free kick on the foul by Clausen. Storman looked like he was retying his shoe. Logan Huber sent the free kick in. Huber, as you know, the son of girls head coach Mike Huber. A big soccer family. Stillwater couldn't keep that in play. Jake Smothers telling me at the start of the season, having Logan Huber is a wonderful asset. Logan is senior this year because unlike some other kids that he's coached over the years, you don't have to run through as many drills or concepts with him. Logan already has the background knowledge thanks to the family sport. Throw-in coming up for Spencer Scott. That one ended up going to a Southwest player. And Spencer Scott couldn't keep that one in play. He had stepped out of bounds. And all that does is deny Southwest a potential counterattack. They'll still have it on the throw-in. From Anders Cameron.
Substitution for Stillwater, number 4, Dylan Magestad. For Southwest, number 15, Andrew Ellis.
Clausen. He was looking for Charlie Smith.
Stillwater direct hit on the Southwest handball.
And a handball was called. So the Ponies catch a potential break. But another reminder that Southwest is still lurking. If you've been following our coverage this year, this Stillwater team, they can score in bunches. They had a 5-1 win over Forest Lake the last time I was out here. Max Stouffer kicking it over to Stovitz. Didn't have much of a chance to get a misdirect on him. Now Race Johnson will pick it up. But the Stillwater team, 5-1 win over Forest Lake, a 4-0 win over Roseville last week, 6-1 win over Cedarburg, 6-0 win over Eastview. Eastview, one of the top 10 teams in the state, and St. Paul Central moved into the top 10 ranking in Class 2A in the most recent poll. Stillwater was able to fight their way from a 3-0 deficit to salvage a draw, 3-3. Since then, their defense doing pretty well. They haven't allowed more than one goal outside of the 3-3 draw with St. Paul Central. Purdy. Looking for Hearn. And Stillwater will get it on the throw-in. Matthew Folden,
Number 7, Joseph Young.
who also has extensive family lineage in this sport. Rachel Folden on the girls' team. Kramer passing back to Huber. Folden will let that bounce out for a throw-in. Gora. Miscommunication. Chester Hearn catches up to it. Gora making a play. And a goal kick for the Lakers coming up. Just a few more games left in the regular season. As we enter the final 2 weeks, it is not a deep or extended season compared to some other high school sports. All the regular season games are held in the span of 5 to 6 weeks. The Stillwater boys, they'll have back-to-back games. They'll have a big one with Eastridge on the 25th. Both road games, the Woodbury and Eastridge games. And they'll have a couple more home games to close the season. Next Thursday with Moundsview. The Moundsview boys not having a great season. Should be a winnable game for the Ponies. And the same can be said for October 2nd with White Bear Lake. But you never know. Folden. Scott had Stouffer for a minute.
finger kick to Stillwater on the
Southwest called offside. As you know, the offside line has no definitive point. That was a deep free kick. Time winding down in the first half of this game between Stillwater and Minneapolis Southwest. Part of a doubleheader here at Pony Stadium. Stillwater taking on an internationally experienced Southwest team. Jimmy McGuire prepares for throw-in. Looked like that went off the mark a little bit. That ball's sent out of play. We have 30 seconds remaining. In the first half, controlled by Southwest. The score looks like it will stay 0-0 heading into halftime, but this is an encouraging first half if you're Southwest. A lot of positives you can build on for the second 40 minutes as we have just a few seconds to go. Ball goes out of bounds, and the first half will end the way it started, a scoreless draw. But again, Southwest spending more time on the attacking side. They had a few looks, a couple that hit the crossbar, so the Lakers finding some openings. And who knows, a few inches away from perhaps being up 2-0, but perhaps the best takeaway for Southwest, neutralizing Stillwater's attack, keeping the Ponies from getting any quality chances at the net. We'll come back for the second half of our boys-girls soccer doubleheader right here at Pony Stadium. Stillwater and Minneapolis Southwest tied 0-0. If you'd like to sponsor a TSP television broadcast, we've got a Patreon page for that. Sponsorships start at just $1 a month. Visit patreon.com/TSP television and make a pledge for premier Twin Cities sports coverage. And I know that we're back here at Pony Stadium in Oak Park Heights, Stillwater Area High School campus. Mike Pete and all by myself talking to myself. I never get tired of using that line, in case you're wondering. Scoreless draw between Minneapolis Southwest and Stillwater. Minneapolis Southwest getting quite a few chances at the net. A couple just missed the crossbar. But all in all, a strong showcase, a solid showing for the Lakers, who were the underdog entering this match. Southwest at 5-3-2, Stillwater at 9-1-1. The Ponies, the number 2 team in Class 2A, but as most of you know, among the fall sports slate, soccer carries the most unpredictability. There's one crazy bounce, one mistake, and that can change the entire complexion of the game. So we'll see what the second 40 minutes bring us. But if you're Jake Smothers and Stillwater, I think you've got to find a way to penetrate, get into the attacking side to set up a few chances. Because Southwest forming up quite well. And the Ponies playing on their heels. I counted at least 5 shots on the Southwest end, and there could have been more. So a little bit of work to do. And Southwest looking to make a move again. This is Clausen. Clausen, an elusive one. The header will bounce out of harm's way. Race Johnson elects not to field it. And instead will set up a goal kick. Boys-girls doubleheader, the last non-conference doubleheader of the season. As we noted, Mounds View on Thursday, that will be another doubleheader. And then I'll be here with live coverage on October 2nd, a boys-girls doubleheader with White Bear Lake. We shall see what unfolds then.
Stillwater, direct kick.
Free kick coming up for the Ponies. Huber almost found Max Stouffer, just a little off the mark. I'm not sure if that loss to Washburn exposed anything as far as how to beat Stillwater. But Southwest playing stronger than the 5-3-2 record would suggest, at least in the first half. Of course, this is an 80-minute game with the potential for extra time. Scott, that throw-in almost bounces past everybody, and no Stillwater player was able to set up an attack there. Nick Purdy swoops in for the take, and that will be a corner. Elicit some applause from the Stillwater fans who are slowly making their way in.
Stillwater, corner kick by number
Our next
8,
game,
Chester
the girls of Stillwater will host Lakeville North. I don't know about you, but my money's on the red team in that matchup. Nick Purdy awaiting the signal. Ends up into the Southwest scrum. But it was last touched by a Stillwater player. Southwest will finish the season with 4 conference games, including a rematch with Minneapolis Washburn. And then they will end the season with a rare morning game, October 6th at 10 a.m. against St. Paul Harding. Charlie Fisher was looking for a crossing target, and Stillwater bats it away. And that ball ended up in one of the trash cans. A perfect bounce into the trash can. I hope there wasn't any liquids in there. Who knows what was in that receptacle. Well, it was a well-placed kick by the Ponies, so we know they can hit the trash can, but the Ponies are hoping to find the net. That is their ticket to going in front and picking up another victory. And a season full of victories for the Ponies. 2 over current top 10 teams, Eastview and St. Paul Central. The game with Woodbury on Monday, another pivotal test, and the game with Eastridge. Both those games could have sway in the section seeding. Now, for both the Stillwater boys and girls, as we noted, October 6th is the last day of the regular season. For whatever reason, the Ponies will be off, so both teams, presuming they get high seeds in their section and based on their resume, both are top 10 schools, both have a lot of wins. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. Southwest. They were close. But Charlie Smith didn't get great velocity on that ball. He will get the throw in, though. As the setting sun is upon us here at Pony Stadium. While we're at this throw-in, as a reminder, if you would like to contribute to our ongoing sports coverage, you can do so at patreon.com/TSB Television. That is patreon.com/TSB Television. Sponsor packages start at $1 a month, and perks include getting your name on the credits, getting the chance to appear in a broadcast with me, and even getting a video promo. As we make our first foray into the fall sports slate, Arco was looking for Stouffer. Spencer Scott shakes one defender, can't shake the second. Picked up again by the Ponies. Stouffer. Deflected by Uro Okondo. Stillwater, relentless. And what is their first sustained attack of this game? But they got to be careful. This Southwest team, they're crafty, they're shifty. And we're going to have a foul. And this could be a yellow as the official signaled to stop the clock. Yes. Yellow card issued, I believe, to Nick Purdy. So a yellow card to Purdy in the 48th minute. So a free kick for Ramsey Uro Okondo. Isaiah Clausen. Race Johnson with a leaping save. Nice play. That was a well-placed shot. One of many for the Lakers. So they almost capitalized on the free kick as a result of the yellow card. Well, keep that in mind. As you know, 2 yellows equal a red. Spencer Scott almost swooped in to intercept the throw-in, and another foul. This one charged to Southwest, and there was a nasty collision between Logan Huber and Charlie Smith. And so we will have another stoppage for an injury. But it's amazing to consider how quickly the soccer season moves here in high school sports. A far cry from the professional leagues where you play one match a week. Maybe you have a midweek matchup, midweek contest in another league, as is the case with many European clubs, where they have their La Liga, Premier League, Bundesliga matches on the weekends, and midweek you have Champions League and others that pit the best of the best. Charlie Smith being examined by the athletic trainer, and we'll wait to see what happens. Reminder, as we wait with 30 minutes, 50 seconds left in the second half, You can go to patreon.com/TSB Television if you would like to support our ongoing coverage of high school sports. Because as you can imagine, as Smith gets up and walks off with a little help, as you can imagine, this effort of mine can't be done alone. It takes a crew, it takes time, and it takes resources to make this level of sports coverage possible. What a difference a week can make. Last week, sultry, humid, a day that seemed more like mid-July than mid-September, or a day where you would have been better off visiting a jungle. Today, more relative temperatures, closer to average, maybe a bit on the cool side. It certainly was yesterday. Huber with the free kick. Southwest plays that well. Stovitz will scoop it up. The girls' soccer team takes the field to do their customary warm-ups. I've gotten a chance to know the volleyball and soccer teams here at Stillwater, being on the volleyball soccer assignment. Here in the fall, it's made for a busy September. Busy, busy, busy. But it's given me a great, wonderful opportunity to meet with the athletes and parents. And when you look at these non-revenue sports, we know about soccer's popularity worldwide and how it's growing exponentially. But at the prep level, that trickle-down effect has yet to take form. And over the last few years, as the sports coverage at Valley Access Channels was slowly growing, something that Mike Huber brought up to me, the girls' coach, and I imagine Jake Smothers and others felt the same way. Folks wondering, when will we get the same kind of coverage as football and hockey? Well, we brought it to them, and it's turned us into something of a celebrity here in the St. Croix Valley. Here's Chester Hearn. And whatever happens in this game moving forward, what will make Stillwater a legitimate foe in section play is their big three. Some teams maybe have one or two dynamic playmakers. Stillwater, they've got three and several supporting characters. When you've got a guy like Spencer Scott, those deep throw-ins, Stovitz with a save. Looked like Stover may have gotten the shot off. Stovitz with an acrobatic move to keep this at a scoreless draw. But you've got Huber, who can score and create with equal force. Logan Huber and Gora Gora, great companions alongside him. Gora Gora figures to be one of the leaders on next year's team, on a roster that has plenty of seniors. It can be a senior-heavy sport, soccer. And who knows, maybe this operation will grow enough on my end where I can get some commentators, or at least some folks to help break up the air here. But one day, one sponsor at a time, right? Southwest on the move. This is Clausen surveying his options. Goes right. Nice play by Logan Hubert. Not only did he get the challenge, he also got it off of Clausen, so a goal kick for the Ponies. Clutch defensive play by Logan Hubert, the senior midfielder. And the son of Mike. If you just joined us, if you're watching this on Valley Access channels, no score, but a yellow card issued to Nick Purdy in the 48th minute. And we're going to have a free kick coming up for the Lakers, following the foul by Goragora. And it looks like Stovitz will put this in play. Well, with a free kick, he's free to do that. It's a deep one. So Jamie Plaisance opting to change things up. Of course, the danger to that, Spencer Scott was there, and if he had controlled the ball, Stovitz would have had to race back to the 18-yard box. So playing in a gutsy position. Challenged by Goragora. We'll see if this leads to something. Spencer Scott evades one defender, can't evade a second, and Southwest able to ward off the attack. And we'll have another stoppage here as Ramsey Uro Okondo went sliding with Spencer Scott. Great job by Southwest responding to a potential Stillwater attack. Goragora getting the takeaway and having a chance to set up. There was nobody in front of him. But this is not a good sign if you're Jamie Plaisance. Ramsey Uro Okondo, just 2 goals and 2 assists on the year. But as we noted, an all-state award winner last year. And it looks like he'll be all right. Trying to shake it off. Doing a sprint to test what I think was a leg injury of some sort. But he looks to be okay. Goal kick for Southwest. Again, Ramsey Uro Okondo will be one of the future leaders of the Southwest team. They have a high share of seniors as well. And in spite of the trials and turbulence we spoke of in the first half, one sport Minneapolis athletes excel at is soccer. Whether it's Washburn, Southwest. Southwest trying to set up a counter. Clausen's not going to get there in time. Huber may have gotten away with a push. But we play on. But so far, Stillwater keeping Southwest from getting any shots off. Goragora, he's got speed. He's trying to set up to someone upfield. A couple of Southwest players got in the way. Carson Arco trying to chase it down. Keeps it in play. He wins the foot race. Wanted to set up to Joseph Young, but the pass was in front. Joseph Young had a defender with them as it was. Stillwater. They're going to get hit with a foul, but they are smelling opportunity. They are sensing a window, and they want to drive through it. Another free kick, and we saw this just a few minutes ago out at midfield. This doesn't happen often, but Southwest opting to use the keeper, Noah Stovitz. On a free kick, not a big concern. with the leg they've got. It's a deep one. Picked up by a Stillwater player. And Stovitz trotting back to his usual spot. It can be risky if something happens and a Stillwater player is able to go on a breakaway. Then you've got to backtrack. And a corner coming up, and once again, Stovitz leaking out to the midfield spot. I'm no expert when it comes to soccer formations, but Stovitz now walking back.
Lakers substitutions, number 7, Daniel.
But it's rather uncommon to see a team's keeper leak out. Well, not so much on this case because we've got a corner for Clausen. And perfectly read by Stouffer.
Substitution number 21, Spencer Scott.
Stovitz perhaps taking a more aggressive stance for the Lakers. And as a keeper, you are allowed to do that. Theoretically, the keeper can be anywhere on the field, but they can only use their hands inside the 18-yard box. Now goal kick coming up. Again, an unusual strategy. Spencer Scott was hoping to catch a carom that might have gone in, but Stillwater will get a throw in. And Nick Purdy wastes little time executing it. And now we'll see Spencer Scott wind up, and the girls' team giving him plenty of space. He has to work around their equipment. Misplayed by Stovitz. Stillwater had an opening, but Southwest clears it away. Clausen looking to get on the move. A couple of fine defensive plays by the Lakers. And it will stay Southwest ball, but Chester Hearn stopping the run of Clausen. And as we noted the last time we were here, why would a team do that? If nothing else, it gives your defense a chance to assume position. As you would rather concede a throw-in with your defense setting up than allow a defender or allow an opponent to form a counter. Spencer Scott. To 19, Ethan Kilmer. Kilmer scored a goal in the Roseville game. Stouffer can't keep it in play.
Entering the match for the Lakers, number 5, Simon Doan.
Stovitz buying some time. Now puts the ball in play. And Huber bats that one away. To the other end of the net. Here comes Kilmer. Young. Oh. Young was right alongside him. It is still Stillwater ball, though. Ethan Kilmer was right there. Young was alongside him. But Spencer Scott has a chance to make something happen. Deep throw in, and it goes over the net. Stilwitz was ready for it. Again, another testament, another example of the brute strength possessed by Spencer Scott.
Number 12, Gora Gora for the Ponies.
Scott, one of the many seniors on this Ponies team, and I don't know where he'll end up, but if he does play this sport in college, he'll have a wonderful addition to the roster, someone who can set up his teammates splendidly on throw-ins. His throw-ins are so strong, they seem like corner kicks, especially at this level. Here's Gora Gora. He's looking for a pass upfield. Sliding challenge by Max Stouffer. Was able to get the deflection. That pass a little too high, a little too far for Stillwater to make something of it. So Stovitz, who's been pretty busy in the second half, has made a couple of fine plays. The Southwest defense making a couple of fine plays. Stillwater able to change the tempo somewhat and get more time on the attacking side, but the defense holding. Again, a Southwest team that doesn't have a quality win, but they played a pair of top-tier contenders to draws. Joseph Young. Couldn't hang on to it, but Charlie Fisher unable to stay in bounds. So a corner coming up for Nick Purdy. And you know the story. A referee at the youth level plays much bigger than he is. His older brother was a captain in Jake's first year as a head coach at Stillwater. And the two share one thing in common. They're fighters when it comes to this sport. And that vibration you feel is the fans rallying the Ponies. Cross to the backside. Gora Gora had it. And it goes over the net. Well-placed ball. Gora Gora just missed the mark.
Substitution number 15, Andrew Ellis.
Southwest throwing it in. And they'll have a do-over. Nice play by Chester Hearn, although he couldn't stay in bounds. It's happened a couple of times to the Ponies today. And something you may have noticed in the background throughout this game, because of the renovated facilities here at Stillwater Area High School, as Clausen will get a corner, or Southwest will. All the lower level games take part in the fields behind the visiting bleachers.
Number 21, Isaiah Clausen.
There's a dedicated soccer field. Clausen with the corner. That shot goes high. Jimmy McGuire had a solid look. But there's a dedicated soccer field and a couple of football fields that the teams can use to practice, that lower level teams, the JV, can use to play games. So it's a great way to get those lower level contests in and avoid the crowding that sometimes happens at smaller facilities. And it's the same story indoors as well with the Ponies Athletic Center. So much like Eastridge, a school that's been open almost 10 years now, Chanhassen, some of those schools that have multi-court or multi-purpose, multi-use fields, I should say multiple fields, multi-field facilities. And a handball is called on the Lakers, so a free kick coming up.
Lakers handball.
Decent chance presenting itself for the Ponies. We'll see if Stillwater can put this one into the barn. Nick Purdy, this is a free kick and caught by Stovitz. Was a direct free kick, so Purdy could have scored on that. We saw Logan Huber score on a free kick last week in Stillwater's 4-0 victory over Roseville.
Laker substitution, number 19, Charlie Peterson.
Now Charlie Fisher. Throw it in. Just over 10 minutes left in the second half. If neither team is able to score, we would have extra time. And we'll go over the extra time procedures if we reach that point. But we're not quite there yet.
Really? You're not a coach right now.
Razorback.
Braun. Missed his target. It's a scoreless draw, but plenty of action nonetheless. Gora finds Young. Flag stays down. Young couldn't catch up to it, not allowed. Sam Voda a chance to get a stop, and he did. So Sam Voda perhaps making the biggest defensive play. A couple of nice saves by Stovitz as well, but Voda denying the Ponies an on-man advantage. Stovitz comes in for another stop. As Young had it. But his redirect gave Voda time to close in on his position. Young again. He's salivating, just waiting for that moment. He's relishing that potential chance to put Stillwater in front. "72 minutes in, still no score." Throw in. And that will be Southwest ball.
Camped out, like chilling out in the field. Nope, I was like, no, I was with everybody. That was the other game.
Yeah, I saw that. You're totally right.
He's turning around and he's buckling down on his line. It's like he's got no
Scott was looking for a reset. Now Southwest on a potential counter. Clausen to Charlie Peterson, and nice play by Stillwater to snuff that one out.
They might not take just a moment. Okay, as defenders, they might not even touch the ball, but just with their body, they're pushing them to the outside and keeping them away from the middle, okay? And that's a good enough defense right there. Boys like to headbutt more.
Here's Gora. And a foul is called on Southwest.
Only direct hit on the Laker hole.
In a strange way, this would seem fitting if neither team is able to score. Or Southwest again facing top-tier contender. Chance to make a statement, and they end up in another draw. Another play by Stovitz to catch that free kick in the air, despite a charging Chester Hearn. That seems to be the theme for the Southwest Lakers this year. Get a draw against the high-quality opponents. Now, with this Lakers team, there's some talent, but you're never quite sure what to expect against high-caliber opponents. Now, they picked up some wins against lower-level teams. Minnehaha, Roosevelt, Armstrong. And for Stillwater, they're looking to add another win to keep that resume up. And that loss to Washburn, not a terrible one. Foul on the Ponies. That one being number 1 versus number 2.
The Lakers on the Stillwater push.
And then the draw to Central, a team that made its way into the top 10. Another result that won't hurt them too much. 8 wins, including a big one over Eastview. The games against Wisconsin teams, of course, will have less impact on the section seating. But when you look at the resume, and we'll talk more about it on October 2nd when I'm back here for the regular season soccer finale. It's not just the number of wins that have propelled Stillwater to their spot in the rankings and the potential to take the number 1 seed in Section 4. It's the number of wins and winning big. Southwest would like to get a big win on their resume. Logan Huber tries to get that cleared out. Simon Brown is there. And a free kick coming up for Clausen. Southwest in Section 6.
I'm really good at it. I'm fine. I won't bother you.
Laker corner kick, number 21, Isaiah
In a
Clark.
section that looks like Washburn will be the favorite at 4. Low corner. Stouffer read it all the way and sends it out of bounds with a header. So throw-in coming up. But Wyzetta, winners of the last 2 years, may find it a little tougher this year. Dive for the net! Who's got it? Race Johnson somehow came up with the ball. What a move. I don't know what happened down there. He misplayed it. Ball was live. There were a couple of Southwest players who could have knocked it in. Race Johnson somehow comes up with the biggest save of the game. We were discussing just a minute ago those big wins on Stillwater's resume. The last thing you want is a loss to a team like Southwest. That's not to say Southwest is an inferior opponent, but that's a result you don't want when it comes to seeding. Stovitz lost his balance and had to be careful there. Had he crossed the line, that would have counted as a goal. But Spencer Scott throw-ins can do that to you. Stovitz leaking out of the box for that kick. Under 2 minutes in regulation. One of the most intense scoreless draws we've seen up to this point. We've seen some games where there's a whole lot of nothing. Anything but in this one. Plenty of action. For Southwest, they had a couple of balls hit the crossbar. A great chance scooped up by Race Johnson. And for Stillwater, a stronger attack in the second half, but unable to penetrate Noah Stovitz, who made an acrobatic save in the second half. 45 seconds. Stillwater gets the clearance. Spencer Scott, 36 seconds. One-on-one. Is he going to take it himself? He will not. Noah Stovitz got there just in time. But a corner. Stillwater, they've got to hurry. 15 seconds. Purdy sends it in motion. Stovitz! That's in! Is it? No calls. Noah Stovitz! He got there just before it crossed, fell on it. Stillwater thought it was in. Southwest said no, there was no call. And it looked from up here that Stovitz did indeed get the save before the ball crossed the line. 2 amazing saves by the keepers to keep this a scoreless draw. We'll have to attempt to settle this in extra time. Again, one of the most exciting scoreless draws you might see this season. I know some of the detractors out there don't find this to be engaging, but I don't know. It's hard not to get pumped up in a match like this where both teams have had several chances. Stillwater with that corner, they could have won it. They were inches away from doing so. Southwest, just a couple minutes ago, they caught Race Johnson out of position, and he recovered in time to get the stop. And we're not done. We're going to have 10 more minutes because here is the extra time procedure. Both teams, well, they're still scoreless. We play 5-minute periods, 2 5-minute periods. Each team will spend 5 minutes on either side. No golden goals in regulation or in regular season soccer. So if one team scores, the other team would have a chance for a comeback. We'll play 2 5-minute periods, and if neither team scores, the match will end in a draw. Carlos, can you handle the excitement over there? Yeah, one of the most exciting scoreless draws. It seems a bit contradictory to say, but props to the keepers in the closing minutes for coming up as clutch as they did. So the Lakeville North and Stillwater girls will have to wait just a little bit longer for their match.
Next action for the Stillwater boys will be Tuesday as they travel to East Ridge.
And a reminder as we wait for the extra time session to start, again, 2 overtimes of 5 minutes each, no golden goal. If you want to support ongoing sports coverage and capture moments like we've seen here with clutch plays by the keepers, go to patreon.com/TSB Television. That is patreon.com/TSB Television. And you can set up a sponsorship for as little as $1 a month. Every pledge goes to ongoing sports coverage at the high school level, at the semi-pro level with my partnership with the Minnesota Lakers, and my WNBA coverage through High Post Hoops. So the clock is set. And again, no golden goal. We will play the full 10 minutes. An unusual procedure in this sport. As you know, when you get to the higher levels, especially, well, in the professional levels, if neither team scores in regulation, it simply ends in a draw. There is no extra time. So we'll get that 90-minute game. And as you know, no stoppage time because the clock counts down. Nick Purdy picking up a yellow card in the 48th minute. That still stands. So if you were to get another one, you would get a red. Gore looking for Spencer Scott. He's got him. Scott trying to get open. At a lane. And shanked it left. But not by much. Much smaller crowd than last week's game with Washburn and Stillwater, but those who are here getting their money's worth in excitement and adrenaline. Stillwater had a chance to win it on a corner kick with about 10 seconds to go. Noah Stovitz able to keep the ball in front of the goal line. And let's not discount Race Johnson and his tremendous effort minding the net in the second half, stopping a Southwest attack that could have put them up 1-0. We went scoreless through 80 minutes. We'll see if we can resolve it in 90. No PKs, not in the regular season. That was Carlos, in case you're wondering whose voice that was. But no PKs in the regular season. Only in the playoffs would a match be settled that way. And now the action has simmered down a bit as a few more fans are filing in. Looks like for the girls' game. Okay, it looks like the JV team is making their way in, having concluded their game, waiting for the girls to take part. Meanwhile, on this field, Gora with a hop just over the crossbar. Stovitz was outside the goal. Gora had a wide open net. Got the lob over the defender. And came oh so close to putting Stillwater in front. It's been that kind of a game of inches, and neither team can get those last few inches for the potential winning goal. Because it looks like if either team is going to score, it's going to be another 1-0 game, like we saw last Saturday with Washburn and Stillwater. Again, this is a Southwest team that can play up to some of the big boys of Class 2A. What they lack is a statement win. For the Ponies, a draw wouldn't be ideal, but it would hurt a lot less than a loss, as they look to claim the #1 seed in Section 4-2A. Southwest looking to play the upset card here. And they've played admirably against the #2 team in Class 2A. Might surprise you, considering the 5-1 drubbing they got from Washburn. Washburn now the #1 team. So it looks like the first extra time session will end without any goals. Gore, though, came that close to making it 1-0. Again, we played the full 10 minutes regardless. No golden goal. So we'll have 5 more minutes to settle this. If neither team scores, the game will end in a draw. Stillwater tied once this year with St. Paul Central in the second game of the year. Reese Johnson fields that ball harmlessly without incident. And the moon is rising. So we've got a pretty nice view of it. Spencer Scott has a potentially nice view of a scoring opportunity, looking for Gora, and he couldn't get a clean ball on it. And that might have been because a Southwest player deflected it. So a corner, this will be Chester Hearn who puts it in. Stillwater almost won it off a corner with about 10 seconds to go. Hearn with the lob. Stovitz got pushed a little bit, but comes up with it anyway. Strong game by the keepers. Stovitz in particular. He's had to prove his mettle in the second half, and he has done that exceptionally well. Noah Stovitz, the senior. We noted he spent a year in Costa Rica. Ethan Kilmer was looking for the takeaway. And despite what the records and rankings suggest, I have not seen this Southwest team play shy in this one. From the opening kickoff, they've displayed a lot of grit, tenacity, out to prove to everyone who's watching that they deserve the same amount of respect as some of those top teams in 2A. And we'll see if that rematch with Washburn works out differently. Again, it's tough to take a 5-1 defeat, but Minneapolis City Conference is small enough that you get 2 games each year against conference opponents. We're going to have a foul on the Ponies, but time is a factor here with just over 2 minutes left in the extra time session. This Lakers team, hard to pin them down, as we noted before. Losses to Holy Family Catholic, Apple Valley, schools that aren't soccer powerhouses. And then you have ties against Minnetonka and Woodbury, 2 of the legitimate contenders. Stovic continuing his pattern of free kicks. And Joe Young gets the stop there. Charlie Fisher waiting for the signal. Now he throws it in. Stillwater sends that away. And if you're the Ponies, anything that will eat up time, because the one thing you don't want is a loss. You don't want a loss, period, but a loss against Southwest could hamper their efforts to get that #1 seed. Now, the Eastridge game and the game with Woodbury realistically will have more sway than this game, but the section seeding in 2A is a coach's vote. So you want to avoid those bad losses. A couple of good challenges by the Ponies to keep Southwest from an open look. And Joseph Young opts to clear it away.
1 minute.
Minute to go, and Stovitz will reset. He's just taking his time. Now he puts it in play. Ate up a few seconds, though. And a foul on the Ponies. Lakers are going to have to hurry, though, with 40 seconds. With that free kick, it looks like that will erase any chance Stillwater has of getting a win here. What they want to do is prevent Southwest from getting any looks and get out of here with a draw. And that was a short free kick. And that will head out to midfield. Spencer Scott tried to make a play for it. Ball will bounce
10 seconds.
in midfield and out of play.
5, 4.
So we started the match scoreless. We will end the match that way. Thanks to the outstanding skills of the keepers. A bunch of clutch plays. It was a keeper's night and a scoreless draw. So with that, Southwest moves to 5-3-3. Stillwater goes to 9-1-2. 1 yellow card to Nick Purdy, and that was it. A bunch of close calls. Again, one of the more exciting scoreless draws you'll find in the sport of soccer, but it's a tie. And for Stillwater, again, that shouldn't affect them too much. For Southwest, once more, they face a top-tier contender and have to settle for a draw. So that'll wrap up the first half of our doubleheader. Stillwater girls will host Lakeville North. But until then, for our entire crew, I'm Mike Beaton. Thank you for watching High School Boys Soccer here at Pony Stadium.